What do the following have in common? La siesta, continental dining style, and social gathering etiquette? These are all part of the Spanish etiquette and eating culture in Spain. It is very important to keep in mind that every country will have certain etiquettes and culture to them that you may not be familiar with. Equipping yourself with knowledge of Spanish etiquette and eating culture will help you immerse with the culture in Spain and avoid being offensive. Someday, you might travel to Spain for your career or for your own personal pleasure. After researching the Spanish etiquette and eating culture, I wanted to share with you about understanding what time of the day that the siesta occurs, which hand to hold your fork and knife, and what to expect when meeting a friend for an informal occasion. One tradition in Spain is the La Siesta. The source Don Quixote, published in 2019, is an internationally recognized language learning group since 1986 that shares etiquette and traditions for the Spanish culture. When you are in Spain, lunch is the biggest meal of the day that begins at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is when the tradition of the siesta occurs, each day between 2 and 4 p.m. In this image, you can see that the business hours are split in between morning and afternoon hours. The morning shift ends at 1:30 p.m. and the afternoon shift begins at 4:30 p.m. Lunch typically includes multiple courses, soup or salad, a main meal with meat, bread, and dessert. Furthermore, most businesses and stores close during this time so that employees can be home to eat with family and rest during the hottest time of the day. David Thyberg of Leaf Group, a content company founded in 2006, wrote an article in USA Today published in 2010 on information on the culture, food, and entertainment of Spain. In this article, Thyberg states that the tradition of siesta plays into lunchtime, as many Spaniards tend to gather with their extended families for this leisurely meal, especially on Sundays. Locals also love to snack on tapas in the evening while enjoying glasses of wine or sherry. Although Spaniards are quite used to having everything shut down for a few hours in the middle of the day, foreigners often find siesta time frustrating, as they might have planned on walking around or doing some shopping. Tourists will quickly realize that Spanish mealtimes are completely different from those found in other parts of the world. It's important to remember this when you plan your activities for the day. Due to the long break for the siesta, many workers do not get home after work until 8 p.m. Because of this, dinner is much smaller and is eaten much later than like 9 and 10 p.m. While there are different times for lunch and dinner in Spain than what we are accustomed to in America, the dining etiquette is also significantly different. An etiquette Spaniards follow when they eat is the continental dining style. In this image, it shows the difference between dining style in the United States and in Spain. In an article written by Julia S. Boyd of The Etiquette Consultant, published in 2017, she explains culinary etiquette when dining in Spain. According to her article, when you eat, it is customary to use the fork in the left hand and knife in the right hand. Switching the hands of which you use a certain utensil in the United States is something unbothersome. However, in Spain, switching hands while using your utensils to eat is considered rude. Another good-to-know dining etiquette in Spain is where to place your hands when seated at the table. In an article written by Tho Nguyen, she explains how Spaniards never leave hands underneath the table. It is considered rude and implies you may be hiding something. However, today this rule is not as strict, and it is acceptable to leave one hand underneath the table if your other is visible. Not only is it important to know dining etiquette when traveling to Spain, but also what is acceptable when attending a social gathering or going out to eat at a restaurant. In the United States, it is customary to arrive on time when meeting a friend for lunch or dinner, but in Spain, it is acceptable to show up late. In an article written by Mike James, published in 2016 by Go Nomad, a comprehensive resource center, he explains the lenience of punctuality in Spain when attending a social gathering. When traveling to Spain, you may notice that if someone isn't punctual to an informal situation, it is not considered rude. According to James's article, in southern Spain, it is acceptable to be late by up to half an hour if you're meeting with friends or family. The online forum N4X, a leading Spanish language institute, offered information regarding tipping customs at restaurants in Spain, published in 2017. When a group of friends meet for a meal in Spain, it is very uncommon for each person to pay for only what they ordered. It is custom for the group to divide the bill equally, or sometimes multiple people fight for the check to pay for the entire bill for everyone. So what about the tip at the end of your meal? In this image, you can see in the bottom left corner by Spain, it states that it is uncommon to leave a tip. Although it is not always expected, many Spaniards choose to leave a tip around 5 to 10% after a meal if the service was pleasant. On a final note, these customs and cultural differences are all very helpful things to know when traveling to Spain. Understanding what time of the day that the siesta occurs, which hand to hold your fork and knife, and expectations when meeting a friend for an informal occasion will help you immensely if you plan on traveling abroad to visit the country Spain. Next time you make your way up to Spain, make sure you have these cultural and customary facts up your sleeve. After sharing customs of Spanish etiquette and eating culture in Spain, rest be assured you will be prepared to fit right in with the locals.